For years, we've all been taught the same thing. If you want to get found on Google, you need a great website, right? Well, what if I told you that's only a tiny piece of a much, much bigger puzzle? Today, we're digging into why your business might be totally invisible online, even if you have a fantastic site. Let's dive in.
So, let me just ask you straight up, is your business invisible online? I mean, you might have poured a ton of time and money into a beautiful, super fast website, but when your customers are actually searching for what you do they find you? It's a really important question, and honestly, the answer might shock you.
Because yeah, even with that amazing website, the answer could very well be yes. See, your website doesn't just exist in its own little bubble anymore. Google has turned into this massive, complex network of specialized platforms. And if you're not plugged into them, you're pretty much just hiding in plain sight.
Okay, so here's our game plan to take your business from being invisible to being absolutely unmissable. First, we'll cover the new rules of SEO. Then, we'll talk about how to claim your digital address, enter Google's marketplace, and manage your online reputation. And finally, we'll wrap it all up by really thinking beyond the website itself. So let's kick things off with Section 1, the new rules of SEO. This is all about getting a handle on what we're calling the search ecosystem. And trust me, this is a huge shift in how you need to think about getting found online. So what on earth is this search ecosystem? Well, the best way to picture it is like a bunch of specialized marketplaces that live inside Google. You know, these are the places customers go when they're looking for jobs or products or local services. The whole game has changed. Your goal isn't just to get your website to rank anymore, it's to get your business listed directly inside these marketplaces.
Okay, so how do you even begin to do that? Well, it all starts with our first big actionable step in Section 2, claiming your digital address. This is the absolute non-negotiable foundation, especially if you have any kind of physical business. And this is the key takeaway here. Local SEO starts with Google Maps. If you have a storefront, an office, any real-world address where people can find you, having a verified Google Maps listing isn't just a good idea, it is not optional. It's basically the price of admission if you want local customers to find you. And just look at this. The difference is night and day. Without a listing, you're invisible in those local pack results at the top of the page. You get zero navigation traffic from customers, and you're sending really low trust signals to Google. But with a verified listing, boom, you get top visibility, new customers can literally hit navigate and drive right to you, and you build powerful trust. Not having one leads to what our source calls a serious visibility loss.
All right, on to Section 3, enter Google's marketplace. So, you've got your address on the map. Now it's time to tell Google exactly what you have to offer. I want you to think of this like submitting your inventory to a giant digital mall, so Google can show your specific products to the right people at the right time. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, this idea of structured data. This is so key. It's basically like speaking Google's native language. If you don't use it, like the slide says, Google just sees a generic web page. It doesn't see a specific product or a job opening or a service that it can match with a searching customer. And would you look at the range here? I mean, these ecosystems cover just about everything. Products for Google Shopping, real estate, job postings, cars, online courses, events, even professional services like medical and financial stuff. So which one of these does your business belong in? Because if you're not actively feeding your data into these systems, you're missing a huge opportunity. This quote from our source material just says it all, doesn't it? If you run a job site and you skip this one technical step, you are, and I quote, invisible where it matters most, which is inside Google's own giant job search engine. And that same idea applies to every single one of those ecosystems we just looked at. Okay, let's switch gears a little and move on to Section 4, manage your online reputation. This is where the human element comes in. Your reputation, which is mostly your online reviews, is like a currency of trust for both your customers and for Google itself. So here's the deal. That star rating and those reviews, they show up right there in the search results. They totally influence whether a customer trusts you and decides to click on your listing before they even see your website. So ignoring your online reputation, that's not just bad for business, it's ignoring a fundamental part of today's SEO reality. So what do? The process is actually pretty straightforward, but you have to do it. First, you gotta actively encourage your happy customers to leave you a review. Second, you have to keep an eye on what people are saying about you. And third, and this one is so important, you need to respond to all of the reviews, the good and the bad.
I absolutely love this quote because it just reframes the whole thing perfectly. Responding to reviews is not just public relations, it's SEO trust management. When you reply and engage, Google sees you as an active, attentive business, and that builds trust signals that can actually help you rank better.
And that brings us to our final section. Think beyond your website. Let's pull all of these pieces together and really lock in this new way of thinking, what we're calling the ecosystem mindset. If there's one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this right here. Your website is absolutely important, of course, but it's just one planet in a much bigger solar system. Real, true online visibility doesn't come from having a great website that sits all by itself. It comes from integrating that website deeply into the entire Google ecosystem.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about for your own business. It's not enough to ask if you have a good website anymore. The real question is, are you playing in the entire ecosystem? Because that's where your customers are, and that's where you need to be too.